07 Commanders, this is Commander Rough Life from Strategic Tritium Logistics Centers Group. It's about time to take a look at how do we find the EPIC hotspots that we are looking for and mapping out for the ED Astro overlay of Tritium Highways. So I'm situated by one of those right now, and we'll take a look at the ring, we'll take a look at the gal map, we'll take a look at my favorite build. So looking first at the gal map, what we do to find these rings is we go to the star selection and you filter for F, G, and K stars, because these stars are the ones that have the highest likelihood of containing a ring, a planet with icy rings and icy ring with hotspot. So statistically, somebody did like a big research project out of this. It's sort of like a scientific paper, and found that statistically the highest chance of finding a hotspot is by filtering for these three stars. The chance is still kind of in the small percentages, so you're gonna have to look around quite a bit. But with the other types of stars, the likelihood is in the decimals. So definitely higher chance of finding a tritium hotspot in the first place from these stars. So F, G, and K. Now, having done that, you find your hotspot, and we're gonna dig into kind of what to look for in the ring in a moment. First, I'm going to showcase my build a little bit and also explain why we're kind of looking for the the particular metrics that we are looking for in the ring. The main point of what we've been working on is that per default, tritium mining is kind of slow. That's been the established norm and understanding, and it's like that for a reason. The general yield for lasering is rather small. It's like maximum 40%, and even finding anything above 20% might be experienced as rare, particularly in bad rings. What some commanders have found, and where I also started, was switching to subsurface, because the fragments from subsurface are considerably bigger than what you get from laser mining. However, that requires some technique and skill, which we'll get back to. And at first, that might be just as slow as laser mining, but once you get the technique going, that will be quite fast. We'll get back to pure laser mining in a different video, but there are ways to get laser mining up to, and actually even above, 400 tons per hour. We have somebody in the group who set that record. So what I've got here is a combination build, one that is very good, perhaps not the best, but very good at laser mining and very good at SSD. You will find that going purely SSD, breaking 400 tons per hour is going to be difficult. You can go up towards. And the same with lasering, you can go up towards 400 tons per hour, with like kind of 350 tons per hour being sort of normal with the build that I'll showcase in a different video. But if you combine the two, you laser mine a rock that has good yield for laser, and then you start chunking away at the SSD while it's scooping, then you can boost your production rate above 400 tons per hour. Again, this is if if you go for it. So obviously that is quite a lot of work. So I would say that kind of between 300 and 400 tons per hour is fairly chill production of tritium. So those are the rates we're seeing, and that is a lot higher than the community established standard and understanding that tritium mining is between 150 and 200. So we're seeing kind of the double of that with the builds, technique, and choice of rings that we're using in STLC. Now, briefly, I will look a little at my build. I've got the subsurface displacement missiles in the huge slots. That is to make them fire as centrally as possible. It's for aiming. And then I have lasers in the other slots. Let's see, it's 3 class 2 and then 2 class 1. So it's similar to like a regular cutter or Python, which would have for mining lasers. The difference being that the Corvette has a class 8 power distro. And I have, just for the funsies, just because I had them, I have put the modified mining laser that you get in LTT 198 system. Note that is a permit locked system, and these are purchasable for mats, which by now isn't such a big hassle, but still. Definitely worth it, because they have reduced distro draw compared to regular class 1 lasers. 2 class 1 lasers equals 1 class 2 in damage, which is the trick that we've used on our laser mining cutter build, meaning that if you use these, you will have less distro draw. And for example, this Corvette right here, it can fire these 5 lasers, 3 class 2, 2 class 1, with the distro not depleting at all, so kind of infinite. So those are the hardpoint placements and choices. I've got a lot of shield boosters on this and the pulse wave analyzer. Why I have shield boosters is so that I can bonk the rocks and go fast in the ring. Nothing fancy in the core. This particular build does not actually need the weapon focus power distributor, which is good otherwise for laser mining. But as mentioned, because of the class 1 modified mining lasers, then the regular charge enhanced superconduits engineering would suffice, because it's just the recharge rate that matters on this build. In terms of internals, I have then 2 class 7 cargo racks. I'm using the universal multi-limbic controller. The point of the multi-limbic controller added to, let's see, how many do I have? Two times 5A collector limpets, so that gives 6 plus 8, so 14 collector limpets. For pure laser mining, that is a little short on collector limpets, just because, again, with the regularly low yield on tritium from lasering, you would want a lot of collectors so as to scoop it fast. You want to deplete the rock fast, you want to scoop it fast. However, since this is a combo build, then the 14 are enough, because I then transition from laser to SSD, and 14 is definitely enough for SSD. I use a bi-weave shield generator. Again, I like to bonk the rocks, so this is also reinforced with fast charge. Oh, okay, I can engineer this a little further. I hadn't noticed that. So bring your shields up, be ready to bonk rocks, and you will be able to mine faster. On this build, I have a total of 320 tons cargo space. That is plenty of cargo space for the 2 times subsurface missile launchers I have. These will run out of ammo fairly quickly. So when I run out of ammo from one, I switch to the other using fire groups. And you get, I would say, about 100, just off the top of my mind, unless I remember wrong, and then you get about 100 tons per subsurface displacement missile, and then add the lasering bonus from those rocks, and you can go up towards 300. It's not so often I necessarily fill the cargo on this thing, so that's enough cargo. I could have swapped this cargo for another collector limpet, but again, I feel generally like I have enough, and this is the build that I used to set the 520 tons per hour record, so I feel like it's fairly well built. I've even put in an advanced docking computer on this because I have enough slots, and I'm lazy. You could swap that with a fuel scoop, for example, to give yourself a little more freedom to travel around the carrier, particularly if you are crew on somebody's carrier. You could then also swap the Class 6 cargo rack for an FSD booster. You need a refinery. Apparently it doesn't really matter what kind of refinery you have. You do not need the 10 bins. It's good to have more than 2, just because, so that the bins don't become a bottleneck when you're collecting stuff. A-rated prospector is an absolute must. I like to have at least Class 3, so that I can kind of see, prospect two rocks at the same time. I would have actually preferred more, but I'm not willing to prioritize prospector above collectors for this. You do need the detailed surface scanner, the pre-engineered, of course, being a bonus. That's the total of the build. Now let's look a little bit at fire groups. So I use 3 fire groups, and I mostly use my secondary button for just about everything. So I have that with the secondary button. I have prospector. Then on the next fire group, I have the collectors and the mining lasers on the same button. This is so that the collectors will fire off automatically, so to speak, without me needing to put any attention to that. And the same with the subsurface missile, the displacement missile. I've got that on the same button as the collectors, with the universal one being down here. And then on the primary button, I have the pulse wave analyzer, so that I can constantly ping the rock, the rocks both to find the next glowy rock, and also to kind of X-ray to look at where my pardons, to look at where the deposits are. Now let's see, did I bring limpets? I got limpets. All right, let's head into the ring. There is something to look at when heading into the ring that we will get into. Let's see. Ring is on the other side. Good thing I have the SCO drive. So one thing that we've been working on, one of many things, we've kind of taken a generally scientific approach to everything we do here. And what we find is that it is the sum total of very many different parameters and metrics, so to speak, to kind of to make tritium mining basically at all viable. So without all this attention to detail, without all these details, then tritium mining, and that is the general experience, is tritium mining would suck. But getting it from 150 to 200 tons per hour, which was the established norm, to hovering around 400 tons per hour, then it doesn't suck anymore. Then you fill your it's less than 3 hours to fill your tank on a carrier, and if you spend some days, you can work on filling up your cargo. If you have a crew, then you can fill up you can fill your cargo with thousands of tons per day. So one of the things to look for that we have identified is when you approach the ring, you want to head for one of these kind of solid yellow bands. And this is also something to look for in the ring that you're prospecting when selecting a ring. If it doesn't have any of these, if it's all kind of, very thin rings, very wobbly, then it might be a difficult ring to mine. Like this is now at some distance from the hotspot. I'm going to use the actual hotspot as my target. Going in here, if this was much thinner, then I would easily kind of go out of that zone while mining, and I would be in an area where mining would suck. Now I'm not. Now I'm in the good area. I'm going to stay here for a while because it was a fairly wide band. Now, before doing anything else, we've entered the ring, and both for mining and for scouting, this is something to look for. I mean, for selecting a good ring, here's something to look for. If I come down to the actual ring, you can see it is super flat. What happens here is, with it being this flat, when I ping the pulse wave analyzer, you see that with just a little drop down under the ring, I can now look at all the rocks kind of that are in the general direction. I see a nice cluster over here, so I'm going to take a look at those. And what you see is that prospecting this is like super fast. Now I found, one of the more glowy rocks. This isn't super glowy, but let's see what it's got. In terms of prospecting rocks, then you want to go for yellow, like proper yellow. So if I was like really determined to kind of make a good run, I might have even ignored these rocks and kind of moved on a little bit and looked for more yellow. This has one subsurface deposit. It didn't have any good tritium yield, but this will do for now. The rocks we're looking for, and I'm hoping to find one of those fairly soon, will have like 3 to 5 subsurface deposits, and also something like 20% plus lasering. And with those rocks, you can pull like 40 tons from a single rock, not needing to spend time scouting around the ring a lot. But let's for now just use this, because the next part then, or actually, hang on, I changed my mind. Let's find one that also has some lasering trits. Let's check these two. There's a good one. All right, that's a pretty good rock right there. Let's see what this other one has. Nothing really for laser, and it only had one subsurface. So, it's easy to think, okay, yay, it's got that one subsurface. But if you wanna work fast, that's not really enough. Because that does, you spend your time there, you would actually want to be able to kind of switch from deposit to deposit. I'm hoping to show, well, I can show that here actually. So we've got this rock, and to show the combo technique, what I do is I switch to flight assist off. And I will start mining this rock, and as I do, I will then move myself towards the first deposit. This is contrary to regular mining technique, where you will want to look for like the center of rotation, right, and then stay there. I don't care so much about that, because as I twirl around the rock, the collector inputs are going to scoop up the fragments. Right? Otherwise, I would spend my time now. It would take a little time just looking for that center of rotation, and I would rather mine during that time than, you know, position myself like that. Also, I don't want to stay in the same spot. I want to be able to follow this deposit right over there. So what I do is I switch to flight assist off. I open my cargo hatch. I ping with the pulse wave analyzer, which then kind of x-rays the rock. And now I'm positioned right where I want to be. The lasering is fairly quick with these 5 lasers. I'm already scooping without paying any attention to releasing the collectors. That happens automatically because of how I designed the fire groups. And as you see, with the asteroid depleted, I have my distro is still full on the webs, and I can immediately switch to engine and sys for more agility. All right, so I could have already started now. I just wanted to talk all the way again. I'm still doing flight assist off, by the way. In terms of learning and using flight assist off, what I did was I actually spent some weeks kind of just, you know, learning to find that spot to kind of stabilize the ship. Depending on on where you're mining on the rock, you might want a slight forward thrust so as to keep up with the spin around. But this is just something to learn. So I just, you know, I spent weeks kind of just not bothering so much about mining or my rates of mining, but kind of getting comfortable with the flight assist off. You want to have automated that before you start doing the actual SSD mining, because otherwise there's just a lot to think about. The alternative then, if you're not wanting to learn flight assist off, is that your ship will want to move in a straight line. But because the rock is spinning around, and you kind of constantly have to fight the flight assist, right? Because the flight assist wants you to go straight or stay still, and then you constantly have to fight it. And for me, that's a lot more work than pushing flight assist off, giving the ship the direction it needs, and then doing smaller corrections than you would have with flight assist on. All right, enough talk about that. It's entirely up to you, of course, but my point is this is actually easier once you get the hang of it. Mining the subsurface deposit, then we're using, like I said, the centrally located huge hardpoints, meaning that hitting that with the aim should be pretty good. I like to be situated in such a way that I'm looking kind of straight down the deposit. Because if you hit it at an angle, the missile will easily bounce off, and you run out of ammo and waste time. Also, when they explode, they might even knock off some of your fragments. So when you hit the deposit, on the left bottom side of the screen, you will see these blue bars. You want to release. You want to hold your trigger after shooting towards the missile. I mean the target. Then you hold down your trigger, and this mini game on the left bottom corner starts up. And you want to hit the blue lines. Apparently, the thinner blue lines have more yield. Okay, I'm a little distracted. What I do is I kind of just go from left to right, one by one. Maybe I would have gotten more out of the ring otherwise, but it's just, you know, there's enough to think about. So for doing this with some speed, and also for it to be fairly chill, then I prefer for it to kind of just, you know, I just go from left to right and don't think so much about it. Now I lost a lot of collectors on this rock spinning around. What I do then is I retract the weapons, shoot off collectors, and go back to prospecting. Okay, we had one more rock. There's one more. Okay, we don't have to do that one right now. It's a single one. What I want to show is how to deal with these rocks that have more than one deposit. There's one more thing I want to show there. Let's see what we find. Lots of lasering tritium, and that's tritium. That's tritium. That's tritium. So this is a very good rock here, right here. This is what we want, right? So I can laser this, and then I can start moving between the subsurface deposits. I'll start mining this already. Remember pips to web. I need my cargo scoop open, and I'm positioning myself for the first subsurface deposit. Waiting for the rock to deplete. Should happen soon. There it is, and now I'm going to engine and sys for agility, and I'm starting the mining. Now look at the bottom left to the right of the minigame. You will see that it's 89% left of this deposit, now 78%. This is a deep deposit. I like it. I like this rock. This is the perfect rock. This is what we want. 67% left. 56% left. Collectors are going off automatically. I don't have to think about it. That was a nice thin line. I'm getting a lot of tritium out of this rock. I don't have to worry about collector limpets expiring because they are firing off automatically whenever I do the minigame. 22% left. You can see how this is going to be fast, right? 11% left, and that's going to be the last one, so I'm already moving to the next deposit. Got that, and now I'm ready to mine the next one, right? Keep mining, keep collecting, keep floating around, matching the rotation, staring straight down the deposit, and fragments are pouring around me. And I'm looking forward to having a look at how much we've mined between these two rocks. This last one in particular is giving me quite a lot. 14% left. And finally, nailed it. Did it have one more? I forgot to keep track. Yeah, it had one more. I could have already been moving towards that, but I'm somewhat focused on making this video. So if I was going for speed, I would have already been here. Bounced off. There we go. Obviously, it's nice to hit every single minigame, and if I'm fairly focused, I don't think I hit every one, but some of them can be hard with the timing. But getting good at the minigame, and that's the point of flight assist off and spending some time getting comfortable with that. Is there's a lot to think about, right? So you want to automate the flight assist off and moving around, so you don't actually spend any energy on that. All right, we've depleted this rock. We got a bunch of tritium out of it. Now let's let the collectors scoop up the last, and we shall have a look at our inventory, and that's 59 tons from the two rocks, and I'm thinking that about 40 tons came from this single rock. These are the rocks we want. Now let's look a little bit more around the ring. You see on the left there, I have a nice glow. I'm ever so, no, okay. There's yellow on it and there's orange, but it has a very strong glow. So I am hopeful that this might have some good tritium. It only had the surface. Okay. I thought there was more yellow on it. So that's typically kind of orange. If it's more orange, there's more likely to be surface deposits. They also, I mean, if you fly with an anaconda, the surface deposits are actually fairly high yield. However, it takes some time to chase down, and there's only one of them. All right. So I tend to not waste kind of a hard point on the abrasion blaster. Here we had some good. This was more yellow and more glowy. Let's see, if I remember right, this ring we measured to kind of, it was a pass. It wasn't like one of the epic rings, but it's definitely a good ring. I think we have yellow here. That's quite yellow. That's what we want. I am expecting subsurface from this, otherwise I have gotten sloppy with prospecting. Let's see. Fairly good tritium, 13%, and we have bromelites and liquid oxygen. That's what I call a dirty rock. So, okay, this was unfortunate. Some of the other rocks had pure tritium. Let's see what this has. When scouting for the ring, that's definitely something to look for. You want the majority of the rocks to be pure trit. Nice yellow. As you can tell, I go bonk with the rock. Again, 22% tritium for lasering. And this has tritium surface, and this has tritium. So this is a pure rock. We like pure rocks. So I'll repeat again. This is kind of just to finalize. I've done this once before. After this rock, I'm going to end the video. But just to kind of sum up how to do it, you laser first, position yourself around the okay, I'm a little out of rhythm right now. There we go. Laser, position yourself, then start extracting subsurface. Pay attention to the percentage down in the left corner, now at 50%, 25%. I think this is going to be the last one. When moving around the rock, I prefer to move against the rotation of the rock. If I start moving with the rotation of the rock, then I go to very high speed. So always go against the rotation of the rock if it has spin. This didn't have much spin, so not really applicable here. Again, for speed, you see, as soon as, well, now it was on 0, but as soon as the fragments, I mean, as soon as I've done the minigame, as soon as I've released the button, I then push it again to shoot the next one, and that's also why I want to keep staying on the deposit, and why flight assist off will definitely increase your speed. Alright, I think that was a lot of information, possibly a long video, but as mentioned in the beginning, it is the sum of ring metrics, you know, flat, dense, rocks are fairly tight together. We want to see lulb, which we call lots of lit boulders. Like it's not a long distance here between the lit boulders. The size of the rocks are fairly small to medium, meaning they're easy to navigate around. Going from one deposit to the next is going to be quick. There were some dirty rocks here. We want as much as possible pure trit in those rocks, and different rings have different quality of rocks. Is that everything, or did I forget something? Let's look at my notes. That is everything. So all of those metrics put together make for an epic ring. And if you have a build that can handle that, you can extract tritium at viable rates. That's it for now. Rough out.